Hello, I'm the Cartographer, and this is the 5th video in my other great game series, and this is Graveyard Keeper. It's a game that was developed by Lazy Bear Games and published by Tiny Build, and this was back in 2018, I believe. Now, this is a game that I've played a few times over the past few years. By a few times, I mean like twice, but I'll come back to individual saves multiple times. I've got 2 saves, really, in this. Now, in the background here, you can see some of the aspects of the game. This is the church where you're going to work at as the Graveyard Keeper. There's the graveyard around it. This isn't an exact replication view of what the town actually looks like and stuff. It's like a little artistic rendering of it, I guess. This is the town over here. This is your mortuary where you also work, lighthouse, the fortress in the background there, the witch's hut over there in the distance. Really, this game is, if I had to sum it up, it's kind of like a dark Stardew Valley without romantic relationships in it. You have your job, you're the graveyard keeper, you also work as the pastor of the local church, and it's your job to hold services there every Sunday and to process the bodies that come in from the local town. So, why don't we get into it? So we're here in this house. This is actually where you start the game. It has a little intro video where you're actually in the modern world. You get hit by a car on your way home to see your love, and you wake up here in this house. Now in this house we've got a couple of chests full of stuff. One over here as well. And then along with that, we've got a cooking table where we can prepare dough, actually grind flour, make pastry dough, sandwiches, cut up meat. Let's see, make berry juice, make different types of gelatin. And then along with that, you can see over here that we've got the ability to do things like fill up ceramic urns. And again, we're the graveyard keeper. It's up to us to deal with the remains of the locals. Now, I really haven't been keeping up with that. That's why I've got, what is this, 23 people's worth of ash sitting around in my chests, which is not great, but I've been busy. If we go out here, you can see my yard here. Ignore the zombies that are currently working out here. I'll talk more about them later, but for now I'll just say you start out with half the yard. It's basically bare. You have to add in all these things, and these are crafting stations. Like this is a jewelry crafting station. This is a carpentry workbench. We've got a wood chopping station. And then this is like wood storage, stone storage. We got 3 furnaces, a saw bench, and stuff like that. I'll talk more about how you get those things in a little while. And some of the things I'm not really going to talk about too much because they're later in the game and it's kind of spoilery to talk about them. This is your farm over here. This starts off not being yours, but you end up working out a deal with a local merchant in order to work on the land. And you sell the produce to him. If we come over here, we find my orchard. This starts off bare, or really full of dead trees, and you can end up rejuvenating it. We come over here. Here's the mortuary. We'll come to that in a little while. This is down here. This is the spot where you burn corpses and cremation. And if we come over here, that's a clay pit right there that you can dig up to get clay. There's a lot of screen tearing whenever I play this game. I don't know how much of that's going to show up in the video. Now we come in here. You can see up here at the top left, there's a 6-day week. And we're currently on Pride, which is effectively like this Sunday for this world here, and that's why the bishop is actually here. In front of the church starts off pretty bad. You end up having to repair it. Same thing with the graveyard here. You can see I've got a graveyard quality in this case of 249, which isn't amazing, but it's a lot better than what it starts off as. Coming in here, you can see that I've upgraded the church. I've added padded benches, confessionals, incense burners, candelabras, and stone altars and stuff like that. If I come over here, I'm local pastor along with being the graveyard keeper. Same job for some reason. So if we come over here, I can take someone's confession, and you can see I got a little bit of faith. That's a resource, and a story. The story I can turn into notes, which I can then turn into books, which I can use for different things. The faith is used in multiple things. Why don't we take a look actually down in the church basement. So this is your main workspace when you're making potions and books and things like that. There's a full alchemy system in the game. If we take a look at this right here, you can see that this is how you make paper, either out of people's skin, which is pretty dark, or using things like bat wings, and then you can use that to actually make paper. You can make book covers and books, and you make your own ink using paint, and you can make all these candles that you can use up in the church. You can burn incense. In fact, why don't we host a church service real quick so you can see what that looks like. I'll grab some incense. Don't need that much. Let me drop off this blood, brain, and fat in my human remains storage bin there. And I will grab some candles. Let's see. I think I need, what is it, 12 now? Yeah. And 4 pieces of incense. And do I have my... I do not have my sermon. Let me get my sermon. There we go. So I'll now host the weekly prayer. I'll fill this thing up with candles. Burn some incense. And you can see the top right, that's the quality of the church. And you can see that as I add these materials, the quality of the church increases, which means that when I give the sermon, I'm going to get an increased reward. And I'll show you that here. Okay, and 3 more. There we go. Let's start praying. Here comes my parishioners. And I'll kind of rush through this. There comes the faith. Praying for the blessing. In this case, it's a blessing of money and faith. You start off getting like 2 pieces of faith at a time, something like that. So they all like my sermon. Now they're going to head out and put some money into the donation container over there. So I'll go grab that faith. You can see I got 60 of it there. Again, this is, I actually don't think I did say this. I've basically beaten the game on this character, which means I don't really have almost any use for anything at the moment. But I will still store everything in here. So I already talked about the making of books and things like that. You can see you can write some of those over here. And I've got a zombie over there working on books at the same time. I'll talk more about the zombies in a minute. We got alchemy stations, and we got distillation cubes and all kinds of equipment. Printing press right there. A grinding mill right here. So you have a grinding mill that turns ingredients into powder. You have the distillation cubes that create extracts. And then you have a milling station. What's this called again? Hand mixer, and that produces liquids. If we come up here, we have the research bench, and if I can research this iron ingot, and you can see that I got the iron ingot, 1 piece of faith, and 1 science. Science you get from books, faith you get from the church service. If I work on this, you can see I'm draining my stamina a little bit. I researched the iron ingot, nothing can be done to it in terms of alchemy, but then I get that experience. Now to actually see what the experience does, we can open up the technologies, and you can see that we have 3 types of experience, red, green, and blue. And so this is done when you're crafting things, this is from harvesting plants, and this is from basically anything where you're researching something spiritual. Now I've actually completed the entirety of all of these trees, which is why I'm able to craft beautiful marble sculptures for the graveyard. I'm able to do all kinds of stuff to the corpses. I can write great books. I can harvest amazing plants and brew them into incredibly strong alcohol. I can make steel armor and weapons and jewelry out of gold. Coming over here, you can see that I can craft these amazing things and find gems and stuff like that. And then cookery, I'm only missing 1 thing, but everything else I can make all this stuff. Okay, so let's head down into the mortuary. Actually, I didn't show you this. And you can see here you can craft all these different things. You have to actually learn these recipes, which you can do with this, where you pick 3 random things. In this case, I'll grab some powder, some water, and some oil. That wouldn't actually turn into anything, so I'm not going to do that. But you can try different recipes and see what you can get. Now, this is the mortuary. I'm currently in the middle of actually embalming multiple bodies here. I'll change out the embalming fluids. What do we need here? This one actually might... Okay, so this one's done in the embalming, but I still need to remove some nasty liquids from it. In this case, blood. So I'll take the blood out. Take the fat out. There we go. Now I still have this 1 red heart, or the red skull there. Now I take a look at the organs, and because I'm experienced enough, I can see what these different organs do. And this brain is actually not bad. The heart. Let's see if we got a better heart. In this case, I can trade out organs for better ones. Yep, there we go. I'll put this better heart in here. Now I got this great, all these skulls. Take the body. Now, if this was not good, I could burn the body down there in the crematory. But because this is a good body, I'm going to bury it in the cemetery and thereby increase the quality of the cemetery. I got this grave plot ready to go. Dig out the grave. Bury the body. Okay, now what I need to do, I got a burial certificate. That's your main way of making money early on. You have to sell those to the local tavern. I'm going to drop something and grab this grave fence. I'll have to come back with a grave marker at some point, but for now I can at least put the grave fence on there. And you can see that adds 5 points to my overall cemetery score there. Okay. Now if we come back over this way, I think that's enough on the church and the graveyard. One of the things you can do with the bodies is you can use this, the resurrection table, to make zombies. And these zombies can be used to automate your work. That's right, this is a fantasy game in which you can automate your work, which is why I've got all these zombies working over here in the fields, growing pumpkins, lentils, onions, carrots, and wheat. I'm also growing hemp right here to make rope. And then if we also head up this way, you can see that I've got a zombie working at my pottery table, my carpentry workbench, the stone carving table over there, and right here at the sawmill. So I can tell this guy I need some flitch. And he starts working. Now, they don't work as fast as you do, and it depends on the quality of the corpse that you've turned into a zombie, but in this case, he works at a quarter of my efficiency. This one right here, working at the pottery table, he was the first zombie I made, or got, actually. And if we get, let's see if we can find that. There we go. Yep, 8% efficiency. Not very efficient. And again, it depends on the quality of the corpse. In his case, he was just not a very good body beforehand. If we head up this way, we can find the vineyard. And I need to get some more seeds, apparently, because not everybody's working, but I'm growing hops and wine grapes. Okay, let's head back over this way. And even then, once they grow these things, then this zombie right here will grab what they've just produced, and he'll carry it down into my basement. And I'll show you what's going on down there. Okay, into the basement. Here we go. I've got my zombie brewery working. This thing's all full of crap. Let's see. I'm going to have to drop some stuff. I'll bring it right back. Okay. Let me grab one item out of here. Did that do anything? This guy seems to be having trouble putting stuff away. Let's see. Okay, well, here's what I'll do. I'll turn this alcohol into... well, I'll turn the wine into really strong alcohol. Distilling it, and then the rest of it I will drop. Well, first of all, let me trade. Well, it's not going to work. It's not going to matter either way. There we go. Now let me grab another item out of there. There he goes. He deposited his wine in there, and when he comes back from hauling that off to my tavern, he'll grab the rest of that and carry it off. Now I could actually brew my own wine in here. I don't have to just rely on the zombies. And along with that, I can brew my own beer in here. But it looks like I'm actually low on resources. Yeah, which is why he's not currently working. I got to bring him more water. Anyway, though, let's see. What else do I need to show you? Let me take a look at my notes here. Ah, yes. Okay. So they really do give you a wide breadth of things that you can do in the game. You can see that it's no longer Sunday. We're now halfway through the next day. I told you the days move really fast. Now, I'm not tired right now, but your character does get tired pretty easily, actually, after a couple days. And at that point, your stamina won't rise past 50. Well, it will rise past 50%, but then it'll lower automatically back down to 50%. Anyway, coming over here, you can see that there's some bees in these trees. Now, typically, if you try to harvest the honey, it'll hurt you. But if you get a certain perk, it means that they won't hurt you anymore. And then as I gather more bees, I build my own apiary over here, which is why I now have these 4 beehives of my own. And we can head up over this way as well. And I'll just show you what I got going up here. I built this whole network of lanterns too. And right here is my zombie woodcutter. Now he cuts wood. The other zombie comes up here and hauls the wood back down. And then let me use my little teleporter stone thing here. And I'll head back to the quarry. Okay, and this is where my zombies work, cutting stone, cutting marble, and harvesting resources from the mine. It's kind of nuts what you can do with all these zombies. And then I've got another 3 zombies working as porters here to where they haul all the stone and ore back to my main base, where other zombies then cut up that ore into processable chunks, and then I throw all that ore into the furnace or turn that stone into grave monuments or things like that. If we come over here, you can see the lanterns are now lit because the time of day has changed. I could fish here if I had my fishing pole on me. I don't currently. Why don't I head back? Actually, we'll head into town. This is the Dead Horse Tavern, the local tavern. One of the 2, now that I've got a piece of DLC that allows me to build my own tavern. And this right over here is the actual little, like, business depot that I'm operating here. And you can see that I'm selling these different items here. And also that right there is the money that is collected over time from the sales of things. I've actually got quite a bit of money. You start off scraping and just barely getting by with a couple of silver at a time, but I'm now up to where I've got 20 pieces of gold. And that's after using enough money to turn myself into an aristocrat. So things get pretty crazy with that kind of stuff. Now, there are a lot of unique NPCs in the towns. Some of them are there every single day. Some of them only show up on certain days. See, she's leaving. She's the person that shows up on this day right here. If we come up over here, this is Herodric. He runs the tavern. And I can sell this burial certificate for, or 2 of them actually, for 3 silver total. But you can see he sells foods and stuff like that. Along with that, his wife is over there. And in the rest of the town, we've got a potter, there's an apiarist, there's a dairy farmer, there's a chicken farmer, a smith. And these are all people that you can buy things from and interact with. And if we take a look at known NPCs, you can see all the other people, like the astrologer, he shows up on this day. The inquisitor, he shows up on this day. The merchant shows up on this day. Snake, the criminal guy, shows up on this day. Miss Charm was the person who just left. The bishop you saw earlier shows up on this day. Then there's the donkey that hauls your corpses for you. The farmer, the miller, all these different people, right? Okay. So if you take a look at the map, you can see the overall area. This is the graveyard, the church, the home that you live in, the garden, the vineyard I showed you. Up over here is the quarry, and here's the town itself. Now, along with that, there's also the lighthouse, the mountain fort, and stuff like that. It's an interesting world where over time you keep opening places up by, like, actually, and literally in some cases, you're opening up collapsed parts of your basement and stuff like that, rebuilding a bridge, clearing landslides, tunnels get dug, and things like that. It's a game that I really enjoy, and again, it's one of those ones that's very addictive in terms of it basically just being one of those things where it's like, oh man, I'm so close to getting this next objective. If I just work a little bit more, and then suddenly it's 6 in-game days later and you're in the church giving a sermon, you know. It's a very, very interesting game in that way. Now, the way the game has been given DLC at this point, I've only purchased one of the DLCs. There's Stranger Sins and Game of Crone. So it definitely plays on Stranger Things and Game of Thrones. There's not been a direct extension of the story, as far as I can tell, because at the very end of the vanilla game, you get basically something where it could be something very interesting going forward, but there's no direct continuation of that storyline. There's 2 new storylines that they add, which are interesting, but again, I would actually prefer there to be something further along in the main story. We just haven't gotten anything on that yet. Let me see here. Okay, anything else I need to talk about here? Let me take my notes one more time. There is combat in the game. It's kind of, at this point for me, it's going to be pretty, like, there's not much of it left at this point. If we go into the basement, I'll show you where the combat typically will take place. See, there's some of that booze. Let me drop this off in here. And there he goes, hauling that booze away. So we'll head down through the basement area. If you look over there, there's the church basement. These things, again, like I said before, they're not initially interconnected. There's collapsed ways that you can't get through. If we come up through here, past the ritual spot, This is the dungeon. Now, I've actually already cleared all this, so if we just hit a spot, there's nothing left out here. I've already killed everything that could be out here. But this is typically where you would do combat, and you can swing your sword, you can get better swords, you can get better armor. In this case, I got steel armor and a steel sword. I did make a better sword at one point, but I had to give it to somebody as a quest item. Anyway, though, I think that'll do it for that part. What else? Is there anything else I should tell you about in this? No, I think I actually told you about most things without giving anything away in the story. Which I do enjoy the story. It's an interesting one, and again, like I said before, I hope we get to see more of it in the future. So I think that'll do it for this game, for Graveyard Keeper. This has been the Resolute Cartographer. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.